But wait,
there probably
even the
will.
voting doesn't work. In Florida, we voted on the measure for abortion, but Florida said in order to get it passed, you need 56% of the vote. And we had like 52% voted for abortion. So half of people that voted in Florida voted in favor of abortion in November, but because it wasn't 56%, Florida said, well, we're not going to let you put it through.
I mean, the rules are the rules, right? They said 56%. You didn't hit 56%.
But which are you saying? Do you think we should follow like what the majority of people want? Or do we think we should let elected officials manipulate the vote so that we need some arbitrary number? I think that you need to get the correct elected officials.
I think you need to get the correct elected officials into the office. Like I said, is there a lag effect there? Like, absolutely.
How do you do that in a place like Texas where they're quite literally gerrymandering the districts right now? They're trying to change the districts so that Democrats can never get House seats in Texas. How is somebody supposed to elect the right official if the districts are changed?
Well, personally, I would say the majority of Texas would prefer that. And now, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I don't like either side. Trump, he's cool. Like, I like some of the things he does. I don't like a lot of the things that he does. But I will say that from my experience in Texas, I lived there for a few years, you have very small pockets that want democratic ideas, and then the rest of that state would want more conservative ideas. So, to me, that's just them trying to transform the state into what the majority of the people want.
If you're for personal freedom, wouldn't it just be easier 100%. To say that states can't block it, people can just do what they want? I don't understand why
sure.
But overturning Roe v. Wade went against this. Overturning Roe v. Wade said states can absolutely block it. If you're for personal freedom, wouldn't the more personal freedom thing to do be to say that at least at your area, which is 24 weeks, which is what it was, because it's around the third trimester, to just say anything before the third trimester, anyone in the country should be able to do?
So in my ideal world, yeah, for sure, but that's not how it works. In my ideal world, I think anybody should be able to do anything they want to do, but Mark, so long as you're not hurting anybody else.
That was how it worked.
But that's not the real world.
But Mark, that was how it worked until they overturned Roe v. Wade. That was how it worked.
Right, all that Roe v. Wade did was took the power from the federal government and gave it back to the state. What that allowed is the people of that state to dictate how that state handles the law.
The states already had power in Roe v. Wade. The states could make decisions in the second and third trimester. States had some power to make some decisions in the second, and they had ultimate power to make decisions in the third. The states already had this power. But I'm asking you, if you are against an overarching government making rules dictated on freedom, why is it okay for states to do that? And you go, well, the federal government's too large. Some of our states, like Texas, are bigger than a bunch of countries in the world. They have governments that are the size of countries in bigger. So those governments are okay for you to dictate personal freedom, but the federal isn't?
So I think you're missing what I'm saying. The intent is that, so as people group together, as people live together, right? They form their own social structure. They form their own laws. They form their own whatever, right? So the state, the people that live in that state vote to design to build the place they want to live, right? So each state is going to look different. Each state is going to have its own demographic of people that vote differently, and that state's going to kind of conform to how those people want to live.
But if it's about freedom, wouldn't the smart thing to do be to say that you have the freedom up until X point, not you don't have the freedom, period? Because if this is the case, then would you agree? Then let me
100%, I agree. And like I said, in my personal perspective, because that's not how the real world works.
That is how the real world works up until Roe v. Wade got overturned. That is quite, Mark, that is quite literally how it worked.
Like I said, in my ideal belief, everybody should be allowed to do whatever they want as long as you're not directly hurting somebody else. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works.
Mark,
why? Because we have all these governments and bullshit and rules that we have to live under.